Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got Jeremy Hogan talking about a possible split decision in the Ripple case and what that could look like. You're going to want it. And 10 things the XRP community needs to get right. We're going to take that apart. And another quote from Rosie Rios. The only way to change consumer behavior is a shock to the system. We got that and so much more. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, it's $1.22 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 0.1%. Good afternoon. 27,800 plus for Bitcoin, 1854 and change for Ethereum. Tether market cap is $80.3 billion plus right now. There it is. Keep an eye on it, ladies and gentlemen. 50 cents for XRP. We're off by 5.4% on the 7-day and up 2% today. Range of price right now between 50 and 54 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's get started. Glint pay, baby. De-dollarization is a hot topic right now. Support for toppling the world from its position as the international reserve currency is coming from some unlikely quarters. But what might replace it? Well, I tell you, that brings the conversation back to gold. And I think you guys understand that I was a customer with Glint before they were actually a sponsor. And I tell you something, I absolutely, in this moment right now, am so glad that I am, because it allows me to buy, save, send, and spend using my gold on my card should I need to. And I love having that accessibility to it, knowing that it has nothing to do with the banking system there and everything that's going on. Check it out, see if it's right for yourself. I think once you do, you're going to be really glad you did, and you won't stop using it once you have it. Let's take a look at this. And here's more evidence of what's going on around the world that should concern all of us. ECB president admitted there will be control in regards to digital euro, much to the displeasure of the crypto community. And I think citizens broadly, not just crypto community. Let's take a listen to her say it herself.
You are introducing the electronic euro, as I know.
It will not be decided until October 23. We have to move ahead. I don't want Europe to be dependent on an unfriendly country's currency. You know, the Chinese currency, the Russian currency, the whatever. For instance, in the Netherlands, they're quite happy to see the e-euro coming. Ask a young German, he'll say, yeah, fine. I don't want Meta, Google, or Amazon to suddenly come up with a currency that will take over the sovereignty of Europe.
The problem is they don't want to be controlled.
You know what? Now we have in Europe this threshold above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail. Digital euro is going to have a limited amount of control. There will be control, you're right.
Well, there you have it. Right from the horse's mouth, ladies and gentlemen. And that's the concern here when you talk about right here in the United States from Robert Kennedy Jr., who's talking about running for president, or not talking about it, he's throwing his hat in the ring. He is going to run for president. And the concern of the lack of anonymity associated with central bank digital currencies. Now, mistakenly, he called FedNow a CBDC, but it isn't. It is the plumbing system domestically. And it certainly allows for a central bank digital currency to roll on the rails and other things, obviously. But, you know, this is why I come back to Chris Giancarlo. And you guys know there was some time ago, it might have been last summer or even further back, where he was in a webinar, and I was able to ask him, are you suggesting that the U.S. government adopt a value protocol and hold it to a constitutional standard so that way you can guarantee the privacy of your money just as you have rights and privacy as a citizen in general? And he said, yes, it's worth considering. And that means that that value protocol could be a third-party private sector entity. And that would put the separation between us and the government and us and, you know, the Fed. And I think that is a great place to start this conversation. Now let's move to this. Gold, obviously, looking here, Egg Rag Crypto, it's been on a tear with all the recent bank runs, and I don't know that it's going to stop, and neither does Egg Rag Crypto. He says now gold is headed towards fib circle 1.618. Close above it. We will never see gold below $2,000 in your lifetime or my lifetime. Now, that's a hell of a statement right there. The chart is literally screaming for gold breakout onto the upside. However, I will allow myself to give dates for potential gold breakout to all-time highs. He says May 23 or October 2023. So we will keep an eye on that to see if that pans out. Again, it's not financial advice from me, him, or anyone else, but it is something we need to pay attention to. And it really cites to you why I'm using Glint. And I'm not telling you to not buy physical gold too. I'm just saying I love having gold in Glint account on my MasterCard debit card, and gives me that functionality because it is physically allocated gold and is not cash in a bank. I love it. So make sure you check that out. Jeremy Hogan says here, in response to Bill Morgan, shout out to both of these gentlemen here. It was surprising to me, said Bill Morgan, that the SEC's own expert conceded that since mid-2018 onwards, that Bitcoin and Ethereum price movement can explain as much as 90% of XRP's price movement. And you could see that in that comment right there. And Jeremy Hogan says, if the judge in the Ripple case wanted to split the baby, that's a horrific phrase, isn't it? She could rule that sales of XRP since mid-2018 were not securities because even the SEC concedes that Ripple's action had almost no effect on XRP's price since that point in time. It goes on to say here, what would that possibly mean? Ripple would pay a fine, which by my calculations, he says it could afford, and move forward with its business. And now with XRP being the only crypto with clarity, maybe Coinbase will only be selling Bitcoin and XRP by next year. Now, this is a very real possible scenario that we've talked about quite a bit on this channel. Ripple gets a favorable ruling for XRP, the digital asset, and I tell you, it will be the only digital asset with legal clarity. That is quite a statement. And just imagine the use case you already understand about XRP and then the demand for it. Quite a remarkable thought. This here from Tony Edwards sharing Sir Clown Sniper, who shared this and says there's 10 things with the XRP community needs to get right. And I love this list, but I don't think it's quite right for an actual fact test. We're going to talk about that right now. Tony Edwards says, I appreciate David shutting all these things down. I appreciate David's response too, but I would have appreciated a more accurate adult list here. No slight to Sir Clown Sniper here. The first one says XRP can't be pegged to gold, silver, or anything else. And obviously, before we get started here, David Schwartz answers all of these things are true. XRP can't be pegged to gold, silver, or anything else. And I think everybody has really talked about this. We've talked about it on the channel. I don't see that myself either. I see XRP as a bridge asset, and I think it would really take away its real value to just peg it to something like gold. Why not just tokenize gold? You could do that. You don't need to peg and back XRP just by gold. I mean, XRP is a bridge currency on a decentralized world ledger. I would think multiple assets would be the best way if you were going to even consider some kind of pegging of any sort. XRP can't magically just become a stable coin. Now, this is something I've discussed on this channel ad nauseum. And it's because the Bank of China, it's because the former Bank of England Governor Mark Carney, who has been a Bank of England longtime partner with Ripple, and it is because the World Bank have stated that they see XLM and XRP as, in fact, a global stablecoin. And now David said all these things are true, but I think it is true that it can't magically just become that, because magically is a word that kids use. Especially at birthday parties, magic shows, right? What I'd like to see the full answer on is if XRP could become a stablecoin through demand function, through the issuance of XRP and the very real on-demand liquidity market that happens and the buying back that Ripple does off the secondary market as well. That looks a lot to me like a lender of last resort, just as the Fed does, to maintain the actual price of treasuries in a dollar. Number 3 here, stablecoins issued on the XRP ledger are not XRP, that's for sure. Number 4, the XRP ledger requires electricity to operate. It says, number 5, XRP can only exist on the XRP ledger, otherwise it's an IOU, got it. XRP has nothing to do with ISO 20022. Absolutely. We've been over this a bunch of times that there's no such thing as ISO 20022 tokens. ISO 20022 token or messaging is in fact a standardization messaging language that's been around for more than a decade. And in fact, it is used for a much more deeper, rich data collection in those messages. But however, it does open the door for digital assets like CBDCs and XRP, XDC, XLM, and other assets to be coded and used along with that messaging for sure. So it is a little tricky how they can work together to move value and messages for payments, but they are not, you know, I wouldn't say nothing to do with it. It can absolutely be used in coordination with it. That is for sure. We have the evidence of that. Interledger doesn't require XRP. Absolutely. All the money in the world will not run across the XRP ledger. He says all these things are true. I believe that too. And when we say all the money, I think Mr. Cool Guy here has nailed it. I never thought all the money meant that all the money in the world flows through XRP. I think he's got that right when we say that, but rather that every type of asset class run through XRP and including the FX market too. You don't want Ripple or XRP to literally have all the dollars running through it because then they have to play dirty and become a puppet. There is something to be said about that, but it is a decentralized exchange. But I would rather just say that, you know, think of this for a moment. DJ Peter Vass says, can you say it a little louder, please? I don't think everyone heard you. This was Yoshitaka Kitao some time ago saying the SBI CEO, also investor in Ripple, R3, right? Big believer and advocate of XRP, says every bank in Japan will use Ripple's XRP by 2025. Now, just quickly to come back to the list here, you know, if XRP is as volatile as Bitcoin, and banks are using it and potentially holding it, I don't think a bank's going to want to hold it if it's, you know, let's just use an arbitrary number. If it's $10 today and then it's $8.25 tomorrow. This is where it gets into the conversation of let's strike out the word magically and let's have David and everyone else answer the question if we put XRP could possibly become a stable coin through demand function. Let's see if David would answer that. That would be a nice one, right? And shout out to David for answering it. Yeah. So let's see this here. This is Rosie Rios, and we love this right here. Boy, Rosie Rios has been saying something here. She talks here in this quick clip about consumer behavior is hard to change unless there is a shock to the system. Now, look, we've heard about dream scenarios of a black swan event from David Schwartz, right? We see bank runs taking place here at home and abroad. FedNow will be launching in July. Could this become a shock to the system? I don't know the answer, but take a listen.
Supply and demand. And one of the data points that we used in this process was working very closely on consumer behavior. Now, if you looked at, if you heard me speak yesterday, you heard me say that consumer behavior is the hardest to change unless there's a shock to the system. So
What would that shock be? Would it be the bank runs? Would it be the introduction of Fed Now because of the bank runs? They were going to do it anyway. Doesn't the Treasury and the U.S. government realize that this moment is before them more clearly than any of us possibly could? I mean, they are the ones that sat in the meetings. Gary Cohn talked about, I don't think we need to be talking the way we are in this meeting to the public. Let them lose faith in the banks. It's over. That was an FDIC meeting. You know, we're speculating here. If you're hearing my voice, you're a speculator in these hills. What an interesting time we are in, and scary to boot. Keep listening.
I'm going to share some findings, some recent findings that I think will help us really think about what the future of money looks like. And just a little bit of background. So yes, that is me up there with the chair of the Federal Reserve at the time, Ben Bernanke, and my boss, Secretary Tim Geithner. And this is when we were unveiling the new $100 bill in 2013. So if you look at your U.S. currency, you can look on the slide. That is my name on the lower left-hand side of U.S. currency. I am currently on about $1.8 trillion of U.S. currency in circulation worldwide out of the $2.2 trillion. So no one makes more money than I do. So that is true. That is.
How about that? And she just happens to be a Ripple advisor too. You know, with someone with such an illustrious career, moving to a company like Ripple, understanding that there's been so many Treasury officials involved with Ripple, where do you think this all goes? I know I got my nets in the water on where I think it goes. I'm a big believer that Ripple accomplishes their goal as Ripple, and I'm a big believer that the world will wake up and see the true value of XRP as a bridge asset, especially in a time like we're in right now, where the confidence in fiat dollars is really in question, along with banks. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.